Welcome all to the session 6 of Introduction to React Library, organized by the Computer Society of the University of Jaffna. So let's resume from where we stopped yesterday, and I'll give it to our speaker.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. So yesterday we discussed we are going to start with the to-do app, but as requested, what I'm going to do today is I'm going to create very quick system within 1.5 hours. That system is going to consist of a login page where I can enter username and password and login. Then what I'm going to do is when I am login, I'm going to check the user list whether the username and password is valid. So I'm going to get this user list from sample API and check whether this is valid. If valid, I'm going to set a variable called is logged in my local storage and redirect the user to a page that is named user list. So if there is a variable named is logged in the local storage of the browser, then that is sorry, the user list page will be visible. If not, it will redirect the user back to the login page. So this login page, and also we are going to look into.
Excuse me, Aki. Sorry to interrupt.
Yes.
Your screen has not been shared yet.
Yes. You can see my screen, right?
Yeah. Aki.
Okay. Okay. So this is what we are going to do. There is an API to check a sample API to check whether the username and password is valid. I can use this, or else what I can do is I can get the user list and check that list. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this API and check whether the username and password is valid. So here it seems like not this sample API is not really clear because it's not telling whether this is the exact username and password I have to enter, or if whether this will give me 200. That means success if I enter any other password too. So I'm not really clear about that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get the users list, which is last time I did the same thing, right? I'm going to get the users list and check whether the username and password I entered is valid, whether that username and password are inside this user list. So if it is there, I'm going to redirect the user to the user list page. And in the user list page, what I'm going to do is there are going to be a list of users which I will get from this endpoint, and I'm going to have an add button, add in some inputs and an add button where I can add a user and also delete to delete the user. So we are going to code this very quickly today. So that is what we are going to do today. So I'm going to start from very beginning, from create React app. So create React app. Let me give a name. Sample 2024 app, and I'm going to create it as a JS project. So enter. Sorry, something wrong. I have to give npx to execute this command. So npx. So this will create my project. So we are going to actually do all the things, all the concepts we have already learned. Other than the simple thing that we are going to save and get a variable from our local host. That is actually very simple. All we have to do is we have to use something like set local storage dot set and get. So let this will take another minute. So this is done. So let me go inside my project, and I'm going to use npm today. So npm start. What I'm going to do is I'm going to open my code space dot. So it will open VS Code. So and here I'm going to open my terminal, and I'm going to use it is npm start. npm start. So my project is started. Now I'm going to start with creating my folders and files which are needed. Yeah, I got some. Can you zoom it? The code will be in big font. I think that will help. The terminal, we don't really need the content of the terminal, so I hope that is okay. So I'm inside a source folder. What I'm going to do is first I'm going to remove the content which is inside my project. So I don't need all these things that are visible in my page. So I'll remove them. And in CSS, other than this class, I don't need any of this. So let me just remove it. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to create my router first. For my project, I need a login page and a user list page. So I'm going to create a router first. Before that, let me let me add all the libraries needed for my project. So I'm going to add another terminal and add, okay, I'll use npm, it has to be yarn and npm install, and let me open React router. React, so you router DOM. npm so that I can copy the code from router. Okay, yeah. Okay, I'm just going to copy this code and install this thing so I can use that. I'm going to copy this code from here, from this site, the router, and I need this. So let me just create a router page and copy it there. New file, router.js, and I'm going to copy those code here. This is not needed here. So in my router, I want two pages, two routes. So one is home and one is user list. User list. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a folder name pages, and I'm going to add my pages inside this folder. So I'm going to add home page and user list page. User list sex. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this RAFCE command and create a component here. And also in this page, I'm going to do the same. So components are created. So I'm going to use these components in my router. For that, I have to import. These are default exports. So user list from pages user list, and I'm going to copy this line below, and that is home, and this is I have imported those pages to my router. So I'm going to use it here. User list here, element. Sorry, this is home, and this is going to be user list, and home here. Sorry. So my router is created. I'm going to export this router from this page. So I'm going to export as default export. So export default router. So I have created my router here. Next, what I have to do is I have to give the router to my application like this. So I can just copy this code from their React router tutorial, and I'm going to copy this too and paste it in my app page. Here, I'm not using this logo, so I'm going to remove that code from here and paste it here and paste this here. This one is also not needed inside this page. So I have removed that. Now I have to import this router from my router page. So import, that is default export. So router from, router. Okay, this is done. So until now, what we have done is we have created two pages, two empty pages in our project. So let us just access those pages and see whether everything is right until now. So I'll start the project. npm start. Sorry, I have already started the project in another terminal, so I'm going to escape this, Control C. And here it's already started, so I'm going to access my project. Something is wrong. What is wrong here? Okay, can someone tell what's wrong here? Can someone help here? Okay, we have only 2 routes in our project, but my URL says employees. So this is not there, so it gives me error. So this is home and other pages user list. Okay, so our 2 pages, 2 empty pages are created. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to create 2 inputs and a button in the home page. And let me first create the design for that. So I'll put some CSS styles. So div, I'm going to put some styles. Yeah, height 100 HV, 100 vertical height. And I'm going to put display flex. And I'm going to put align items, justify content, center, and align items, center. And I'm going to put add my inputs inside that div. So input, one input, copy paste down, and a button here. So how my page looks now, let me just check. Okay, I'm going to give a label for the button. So login and close the button, tag, and I'm going to give a wrapper div for this. So div, I'm going to give some styles, some paddings for this. So style padding 10, copy paste that for everything. So this looks okay now. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to get the user list when I'm clicking on this login button. Before that, I'm going to introduce 2 states, component states. So for that, I'm going to use a hook, use state hook to assign the value of my 2 inputs. One for my username and another for my password. I'm going to use this API. So here we have this email and we have password. So I'm going to use the same names and I'm going to create state for my component. So const email set email equals use state initial value as empty string, and for password, set password initial value empty. So now when I am changing this input, I'm going to set that value to the email variable. So I'm going to write on change there will be an element, and I'm going to set email the value of the email. So set email element dot target dot value. So I'm just going to copy and paste this here and edit the name. So set password, sorry, set password. Okay, when I change this inputs value, the password will be set. Now what I'm going to do is, I'm going to give its initial value as this value, value, and for my password value is this. Okay, now what I'm going to check this in my console whether what I have done until now is working properly. So I'm going to log this in my console, the email and the password. So let me check it. I go to my console. The initial value of email is empty, password is empty. I'll clear my console and I'm going to enter some username as test. So here comes email is test and password. It's working as expected until now. So now what we are going to do is, when I am logging in, I'm going to get the user list from my API and check whether my username and password is in the list the API is providing me. For that, let me write a function. Here I'll write on click let me name it login, and I'm going to declare the login function. I'll remove this console, I don't need it. I'll declare login function equals to, what I'm going to do here is, I'm going to get the user list from the API. So for that, I'm going to use Axios. So I'm going to install Axios now. Let me use npm today. npm install Axios. So there are some vulnerabilities, but I don't think I really have to look into them. It will work for me for this project, so I'll skip them and I'll use Axios here. Axios dot get, and I'm going to use this endpoint URL. So here I'll copy this here and then block. What I'm going to do is I'm going to check whether the username, email and password I entered is inside this list. So result. First, I'm going to check the structure of this result. I can even check that in my network tab. Let me check that in my network tab today. So going to go here and network tab, remove everything. When I am logging in, I'm calling that API. So, okay, this is called, if I go to preview, this is the structure of the result I'm getting. So inside that result, inside users variable, I have my list. So what I'm going to do is result dot users. I'm going to log result dot users first. Result dot users and check whether everything is right. When I'm clicking on login, whether I'm getting the, okay, I'm not getting it. Let's see what's the issue. Okay. So then result, I'll log only the result. So I'll test and okay. Okay, the data is only visible in my preview. So I have to actually use like result dot data dot users. So I'm going to use that result dot data dot users. So let me check whether this is okay. I'll refresh and okay. Now I'm getting the result. What I'm going to do is, I don't want all these 30 results. I'm just going to get 3 results and check whether my username and password are inside that inside that list. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to uh, use this limit equals 3. So I can get only 3 results. I'm going to use this parameter. So I'll get only 3. So let me check whether that works. Okay, I'm getting 3 results. Now what I'm going to do is, I'm going to check whether my username and password matches the values inside this array. So here, array dot find. This is the array method to find whether one element is there. So users, we are user dot email equals to my email. Okay, something. Okay, my email, this email, and password equals to what's the name of the password they have given. Let me just check where is that password. Password. So user dot password equals to whatever the password I enter. If one object match this scenario, then this will give me a result. So let me just assign that result to const result exists equals this. So if this is true, if this gives me a value, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this Boolean function to get a Boolean value from this result. Say if this expression gives an undefined result, then my Boolean function will give false. Or else if this expression give me some result, this Boolean function will give me true. So I can assign that true or false to result exist. So I have the variable now. So I'm going to enter that in my console now and check whether that works fine. So if I go to console, something went wrong. Use state can be called inside. Okay. Sorry, use state. I need to copy this here. Email, but everything good now. So yeah. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to enter now. And it gives me false. And let me check that users array and take a user from this list. So email, I'll copy this email and password, this password and sorry. And login and check what happens. Login, it gives me true. So this user exists in my user list. So it gives me true. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to enter a variable in my local host when result exists equals true. So when this is true, I can use ternary operator, that is question mark, and I'm going to introduce a function called local storage dot set item. I'm going to name the variable is logged in, and I'm going to give true for this. Else, a ternary operator will have a question mark and a colon. This is if part and this is else part. So else what I'm going to do is I'm going to give an error message. How I'm going to do that? I'm going to introduce a state called error message and set error message, and initial error message is empty. If error happens, what I'm going to do is I'm going to set error message to please check your username and password. So I'm going to print the error message on my button. So that is done. Let me check whether everything is all right until now. So I can clean this console, and I'm going to enter a wrong password, username and password. So here my error message comes, please check your username and password. I'm going to give a div wrapping my error message so it will look neat. So this is fine. Now I'm going to give the right username and password. What I want is if the user enters the right username and password, I want to redirect the users to the user list page. So that I'm going to do. For that, I can't use ternary operator because for ternary operator, I can give only one expression. So I'm going to use if else condition here. So if result exists, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to set this else I'm going to set error message and inside if part, I'm going to give the redirect uh, code. So inside my React router, I have a method called redirect. So I'm going to use that here. Sorry, not redirect. It is inside React router DOM. It is use navigate hook. So that is, let me use that here. Like use state and use effect inside React router DOM, I have use navigate hook. We didn't look into that hook yet. Let us look into that now. This is used to navigate a user from one page to another page. So here I'm going to import use navigate from React router DOM. So I'm going to call this use navigate like I use dispatch. I'm going to call this here. So cons navigate equals use navigate, and I'm going to give navigate and the path. So my path is use list. So let me check whether my code works fine. When I give the right username and password, I should be redirect to the user list page. So where's my username and password? So this is my username and this is my password. Let me log in. I'm redirected to user list page. So that works fine. Now what we are going to do is, let us check whether the user list, is logged in variable is inside my local host. So how to check that? Here in DevTools, there is a tab called application. And here I can see my local storage here. So here I can see my variable. This I have set this variable is logged in to true. So in the user list page, what I am going to do is I'm going to check whether this is logged in is true. If this is true, I'm going to stay in this page, or else I'm going to redirect the user to the home page. So let me do that in the user list page. Here, const is logged in equals, let me, okay, here, local storage, no, not this, sorry. Where is my page? Useless, okay. Local storage dot get item, and I'm going to use the same name, get item, and what this does is, this is going to get the value of this variable, which is inside my local storage, and assign it to this variable. So let me just console log it here and see whether this works fine. So if I go to console, yeah, it says true. So this works fine. And I'm going to give a code like if not is logged in, I'm going to navigate the user to the home page. So I'm going to use the same code here, code to the other page. So I'm going to just copy it. And copy the use navigate hook here. Okay, something went wrong. Local, okay. okay, I'll copy it here. Still something is wrong there because I haven't given any expression after is logged in. So if not is logged in, I'm going to navigate the user to the home page. So all fine. And here in this page, I'm going to create a logout button so that if user want, he can log out. So div and a button inside that. And I'm going to call give a label logout. So on click, what I'm going to do is I'm going to give a function named logout. I'm going to declare this function here, cons logout equal. Here I'm going to remove the local storage item and also navigate the user to the home page. So local storage dot we have a function like remove items, so we can simply remove the is logged in from our local storage. So that is done. And also I'm going to navigate the user to the home page. So let us check whether this works fine, but for some reason I'm not seeing my logout button. Why is that? Okay, there was some issue in refreshing. So let me just click on this button logout. Okay, it has navigated to my home page, but now what I'm going to check is if I go to the user list page again, it stays, but I have given a code to, if not logged in, it should navigate to home page. That is not happening. Let me check why is that. So let me use effect because this has to happen one time. Use effect and I'm going to give the same thing inside use effect. So if not logged in, I have to navigate the user to home page. Let me just go there, use the user list. So it navigates me. I can't now go to the user list page because it automatically navigates me to the login page. So that works as expected. Now I'm going to let me check my application, and I don't have any is logged in variable here, so that is also cleared. It works as expected. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to log in again and create my user list page. So if I'm going to go to network and copy the username and password. Okay, username is email is this thing. I'll copy this and password. And login. Now I'm logged in. So I'm going to what I'm going to do is I'm going to list out the users here and create an add component and also I'm going to give a delete button. So for that, let me start with the list. Here, I'm going to create another div for this. Inside this, I'm going to list out the user list. For that, I have to uh, call the API and get the list. I have to do that one time in my user list page. So I'm going to use that inside my user effect, inside a user effect, and assign the user list value to a state. So for that, I'm going to create a state, const users set users equals use state. Initially, it's going to be an empty array value. And I'm going to create another use effect here. Use effect. And inside the use effect, I'm going to use Axios. Axios dot get. I'm going to use the same thing. So let me copy and paste it. Paste this one here. Let me go here and paste it here. So from this, I'm getting the list of users, and in then clause, what we are going to do is we are going to set users, so that we are assigning that user list value to this variable. So set users. This is result dot data dot users. So we have done that work, but some error is coming. Why is that? Okay, I haven't closed this. Okay, this is not closed. Let me close it. Okay, now it's fine. So let me console users in my log users in my console. So let me check whether I'm getting all the users. So of course I'm getting users, and it is set to the users variable. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to map through that users variable and list that out in my page. Users dot map user, and return. I have to give curly brackets. Give me a second. Okay. I have to give a curly bracket and return a JSX element div. I'm going to close this div. So inside that, I'm going to print out so user.email. So let me check whether that works fine. Yes, this works fine. All the emails are listed in my page. So I'm going to give some styles for this. I'm just going to give some padding and padding 10. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to give a delete button against this against the against each user. So how I'm going to do that is inside this div. Let me wrap this div, or else I can give another div here. And div a button. label as delete and close this div. This is fine. I'm also going to give display flex so that it will come in a row. Okay, this is fine now. But my button is not there. Is that button username div? Let me just refresh it. Okay. So my user and a button against my user. We can do the styles properly, but we are not going to really look into making the styles nice. We are just going to see the functions and functionalities only. So I'm just going to give a gap here, 10, so it will look a little nicer. So okay. So this is done. And I'm going to create another component to add the user and bring that component, display that component inside my user list page. So for that, what I'm going to do is inside pages, I'm going to create a new folder called user list so that I can put all the components related to this user list page inside that folder. So I'm going to bring this file inside my user list folder. And I'm going to create another component, add user dot csx. And I'm going to use RAFCE. So my component is created. I'm going to give this component to my add user list page. So here after this div, I'm going to give add user component. Okay, I have to import it. So import add user. This is the default export. So add user from add user. So we have added that component to the user list component. Now let me check whether everything is okay. So this is from add user component. Let me write the code to delete user now. So how I'm going to do that? For that, let me introduce a function called delete user. So on click delete user. Let me declare the delete user function. Cons delete user equals what I'm going to do inside this function. So what I can do here is I'm mapping the users here. So I have the user ID of the specific user here. So I can get it. So what I'm going to do is for this function, I'm going to pass the user ID. Let me first check whether I have a user ID in my user list object. I have something called ID, so I'm going to use that. I'll also check whether that is unique. It seems like it is unique. ID is 3, so I'm going to use that ID. So I'm going to pass that ID to my delete user function. Here, u.id. So I'm passing that function, that ID to my function. So I'm going to get that ID from here. and I'm going to manipulate my state with this ID. So let me take this state, user state, and I'm going to filter out the user which has ID, which is passed to this function, and assign my new user list to this user's variable. So let me create a variable called users after deleted equals users dot filter user where user dot ID not equals ID. So I have filtered out that specific user, and I have got the new user list. So I'm going to assign this user list to my users variable. So how to do that? I can use this set users function and give this new user list. So this should remove one user and give the rest of the users. Let me just check whether everything works fine. Something went wrong. What happened? Okay. Let me comment out this function for now and click u.id. It must give the ID. Let me remove this. I'm going to debug what's the error. So when I remove everything works fine, but so seems like something went wrong here. What is wrong? What's wrong here? Okay, so equals ID. I'm passing it here. I can't use this because on click, it should be a function. I can't pass a variable here. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to write a function here. And this should work properly. Now check. Now what I'm going to do is, I'm going to remove one user from here. So let me click on delete. Now this got deleted. Let me delete the other one too. This got deleted. So this is in our state. So when we refresh it, it will appear again. It's not, we are not manipulating the API or we are not doing any work with our local host. So this is purely in our state, in our component state. So when we are refreshing the component, the initial state will be applied. So the initial list will appear in our page. So the delete works fine. Now we are going to add a user. For that, we are going to use another component. So let us design the component, add user component. So inside this, I'm going to, let me just check the time. It's 8:10. I hope it's fine if I continue with it. I'll continue for for another 20 to 30 minutes. So let me create input here. I'll write a repetitive and an input. Here I'm going to use the email address, and I'm going to add that user to my user list. And I'm going to give a button here. So let me copy this. So this is done, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to edit this and I'm going to give some style so it will appear next to next. So style, display, flex. So all good, and also I'm going to give a gap between two elements, so that is 10. And inside button, I'm going to give a value label. So add all good. So I've created I have designed my add component. So what I'm going to do here, when I am entering an email to my input and clicking on the add button, a user should be added to my user list that is inside the state of user list component, the parent component of my add user component. So what I can do is I can pass these variable and function, these values to my child component, so that I can access those values from my child component. So I'm going to pass this set users and users to my child component. To do this, my child component should accept those values. So if I go here, I'm going to destructure those values, users and set users, and I'm going to use those values inside add user component. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to assign this inputs value to a state, this add user component state. I'm going to introduce a state. For that, I'm going to use state hook. So const use email, a new email set new email equals to use state, initial value is empty, and I'm going to do the same thing like what I did in that home login page. So on change, I'm going to get the element and set the value to my new email variable element dot target dot value. Sorry, value. Okay. So I'm going to give this value to my input. So let me check whether this works properly. So I'm going to log it here, log this to my console and check it. So email is initially empty. When I enter something, it works fine. So, okay, so that works fine. Now, when I'm clicking on add button, I have to add this to my users list. So on click, I'm going to introduce a function called add user, and I'm going to declare that a function add user, write an arrow function for that. So Here what I'm going to do is I'm going to set user. Here, what I'm going to set is the list should have all the users which already exist, and also the new user. For that, I'm going to spread the users array inside a new array and give my new user to that array. This 3 dot is called spread operator. What happens here is this spreading out all the objects in users array inside this new array I have written. And also I'm going to add another value inside that array. So I'm going to give another object, and in that object I'm going to give email, my new email. So I'm going to add this element to the users array. So let me just try it out and check whether it works as expected. So let me enter test at test.test and give add. It adds the value to my list. Let me add another thing, another email address. So q dot. Okay, it adds. So let me delete test.test. It removed both the values because I haven't give ID. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give separate ID for both those elements. So what I can do here, I'm going to give another property named ID, and I'm going to get the length of the user array. Initially, okay, this is because I haven't completed it. Yeah, initially my length of the array is 3. So I can get the length of the array by array.length. So here users dot length, length will give me the length of the array. What I'm going to do is I'm going to add 1 with that and assign that to my ID. So +1. This is my ID. Now let me check it, what happens. So I'm going to add this, and I'm going to add another thing and another user at. Okay, now I'm going to remove this Q. That works fine because I have added different IDs to my users. So that works fine. Now what I'm going to do is I can do edit. We have done read, add, and delete. So let's go with the other function edit. So let me also create a edit button here in my user list component. So here I'm going to introduce another button, name edit, and another function called edit user, and I'm going to write that, declare that function here, edit user. So what I'm going to do is when I click on this edit button, I'm going to get the email of that specific user to to another component called edit component. And when I am clicking, when I am changing the email address and clicking on the button edit, then the email address should be edited. So this is what we are going to do. So for that, I'm going to introduce another component called edit component. Okay, so let me, I'm going to introduce, copy this and paste it down, down my list. So here, and edit it. So I have this add user. I'm just going to copy and edit it. Control C, Control V, and edit user. And here, let me change the names. And in user list, I'm going to import that and use it here. And in my edit user component also, I'm going to have an input and a button called edit. So what I'm going to do here, I'll comment out this code for now. And I'm going to, okay, remove this for now. I'm going to give an empty function here. Okay, so when I'm clicking on edit button, I should pass that specific user to my edit component, so that only I can access that specific user's email from my edit component, so that only I can show that in my component. For that, what I can do, I'll go to the user list page, and I'm going to introduce another state called user to edit. So user to edit, and set user to edit. So that is an object. Initially, it's going to be empty value. So I'm just going to, I can give empty object, or I'm leave it as empty value. So when I'm clicking on this edit button, I'm going to set this edit user to edit as I'm going to give that specific user's values to this variable. So what I'm going to do is, for this, I'm going to write this edit user. I'm going to edit this function. So here, take this function. Let me comment it out first. I'm going to get the specific user first inside this function. So const user to manipulate equals, I have this user list, so I can get the specific user from this user ID. So find user where user dot id, id equals id. So with this, I can get the specific user. Now I am going to set this specific user. In the state, I have just introduced user to edit state. So here I have set the state. Now what I'm going to do is, let me just check whether that works fine. So I'm going to console log it. Let me just copy this and see the log when I click on the edit, whether my user is set to this variable of state. So I'm going to check that I'm getting some error here. Why is that error? In this page, I have some error. I have to give the array function. So that is done. Now user to edit is empty. So what I'm going to do is, if user to edit is empty, I'm not going to show this component. So let me write code for that. Here, user to edit dot id. If I don't have an ID there, I'm going to cover it with Boolean function. So it will give a true or false value. So if I don't have, if I have a value in my ID, then I'm going to display this component. So what I'm going to do here is, if user edit.id is there, then show this component, or else don't show this. So now it's not showing that component to me. Now what I'm going to do is, I'm going to click on edit here. So my component is visible, and also in my user to edit state, I have this value. So now what I'm going to do is, I'm going to get this user to edit state to my edit user component. Here, I'm going to pass it so that I can access it from there. I'm going to get that value from edit user component. So I have the component here. Now what I'm going to do is, for this initial state, I'm going to give user to edit dot email. So my initial state will be the email from the specific user. Let me try out whether that works fine. Let me just refresh. I'm going to click on the third user, so edit. So that user value is visible. If I click edit here in the second one, something went wrong. That value is not visible. So what happened there? Let me just check it. Let me check whether that appears in my state. Yeah, that seems to be all right, but my component is not showing that. Let me check why is that. Okay, that works. That works. Yeah, my component is not showing as I expected, showing the value as I expected. So let me check what went wrong there. In the user list here. Okay, what I have to do here? What happened here is, when I click on the first edit, what happens here is, it shows my edit user component. When the edit user component is called, this use state is initialized. So when it got initialized, it already took the first user to edit that specific user's email. But when I click on the second one, it didn't update it. What I have to do to update that? What I can do is I can use state. How to use, use effect. How to use that and why we are using it. Why we are using it is use effect is used. Say, I'm going to give a code like when user edit.email is changed, run this. I have this dependency array, so I'm going to give user edit.email. So if this got changed, this use effect code will run. So what we are going to do inside the use effect block, we are going to set new email to the whatever the new email that is coming from the parent component. So I'm going to set new email to user edit, whatever the email we are getting from the parent component, and here I'm going to give that as a dependency. So each time this changes, this code will run so that the value of the new email will be changed. So here it will be displayed. So let me check whether that works fine. Edit. Okay, now that works fine. So there the use effect helps us. So this is done. So say when I'm going to edit that new email. Let me just console log it. Now I'll check that. Okay, as of now, the value of my new email is this one. Let me edit it. Okay, test, and it works fine. So after editing it, I am going to replace the old value with my new value. For that, I'm going to use edit function. So on click, I'm going to, let me write edit user function, edit user, and I'll uncomment it, change it. And when I'm clicking on it, what I want to do is, I want to set new value to my users array. So how to do that? I am going to take the specific user, and also I'm going to take get the user array which is that is filtered where we filtered the specific user. So how I am going to do it? Const user array without specific user, that is user dot filter. Okay, what? Okay, filter and user where user dot id not equals to user to edit dot id. So this array gives the value which doesn't have the user we are editing. So we have got that. Now what we are going to do is we are going to we have the specific user. So we are going to change the email in that user object. For that, let me create a new user object. Const new user object equals, I'm going to spread out all the properties of the user object we already have. For that, like array spreading, we can also use object spreading. So here, user to edit, and I'm going to change the email value. So I can give like email equals new email. So what this will do is, this will spread out all the information we already have. We already have email in this object, but still, if I give it again, it will replace the email value that we already have inside this object. So this is our new user object. Now what I'm going to do is, I'm going to comment out this, and I'm going to set user. I have this set user function, and I'm going to give the array without the user we are editing. So inside array, I'm going to give that, and I'm going to spread out it because that is an array. Spread out it and give the new object. So this should edit our user state. Let us check it, whether this works in the way we expect. So let me just go here, and I'm going to edit this last user. So edit, I'm going to write a value test at test.test and edit it. Now it got edited. So that works as we expect. So we have done with our CRUD operation. So yeah, we have done it in a very quick way to help the exams you're going to face. We can do our to-do system in a proper manner. I hope this today's session will actually help your exams. We haven't touched Redux, as it is a little hard to catch and kind of confusing. So anybody have anything to ask? Okay, I have got a question after edit the user and add to the array. The list order is now changed. How can we display it in ID number sorted order? Okay, you want to sort it, right? Delusion has asked the question after edit. Edit the user and add to the array. The list order is now changed. How can we display it in ID number sorted order? I hope you are asking about sorting the array. As our system, we haven't changed the order. We have just edited the email address only. But say if you want to sort the order, our array is already in like ID wise 1, 2, 3 order. If you want to sort it in a different way, we can do it. We can use sort functions, array methods are there, sort function. So we can use that. I think in our list, we haven't changed the order. It is in 1, 2, 3 order, I guess. Yeah, 1, 2, 3 order, we haven't. So yeah, that is about sorting. Yeah, if you want, you can just Google array sort and you'll get the like map and filter and find there is a sort method, so you can use that. Anything else? Today we haven't touched Redux. We have just done the system with component states only. So we'll look into Redux when we are doing our to-do system. So let me bind up my speak with this and hand over it to Varsha. So Varsha, over to you.
Thank you, Aki. So thanks for attending the today's session. If you all have any questions or if you all need the resources, you all can request through the feedback form. So until we meet in our next session, have a nice time. Bye bye. Good night.
Thank you and bye.